Okay, I guess I'll bring the meeting to order. This is the Historic District Commission. The date is January 12th, 2023, and the time is 4:15. This hearing was noticed in the Fairfield Citizen on December 30th, 2022. Our alternates will be voting today. George Clark and Jim Bohan will be voting today. We take attendance first. Rosina Negron, Commissioner.
Present.
Thank you. Parker Vanis, Commissioner.
I'm here.
Thank you. George Clark, alternate Commissioner.
I'm here.
And Jim Bohan, alternate Commissioner.
Present.
And I'm Adam Cliver, Commissioner. And absent today is Chris Shea, Commissioner, and Darren Raymond Lott, Commissioner, and Alyssa Stack, alternate Commissioner. We originally had 2 items on the agenda, but the second item has been withdrawn to be revised. So we only have 1 item on the agenda. I think you also noticed on the notice we had 4 items originally, and 2 of them were never, the applications were never completed before I posted the materials. So we'll not be hearing those, obviously. So the first item on the agenda is Jane Biles, 360 Old Post Road in Fairfield, Connecticut, 06824 for property located at 360 Old Post Road. For A, front door, new sconces to flank front door. B, rear elevation, new doors to exterior and landing. C, side elevation, new door and proposed roof overhang. And D, new generator and condenser locations. We have someone. To present for the Biles.
Hi, it's a tricky one. It's Bayless. It's so not phonetic.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, please don't worry. I actually was scared to say it when we were dating, and I was Jane Sullivan. I'm like, how do you say that name? So anyway,
how do you say it again? Bayless.
Like think of it like Baylis. It's like Bayless.
Bayless. Thank you.
Yeah. No, please.
I screwed it up last time too.
Oh no. You know what? I never correct people, so I'm trying to learn from my kids. They're always telling everyone, and makes it easier for everybody. Okay, super quick. We're obviously we're the rookies, and we learned so much from last time. And I want to begin by thanking all of you. I hope I expressed last time one of the main reasons we moved to Fairfield, and hope to make it our forever home at age 50, whatever, finally finding it, is because of the sense of history in the town and the fact that people like you have committed so much time and effort. And I am telling you that handbook, Adam, how did you even write that? Like the amount of passion and effort for this is just really inspiring. And it's very much, what kind of drove us to leave a town that wasn't concerned with preservation and, enjoy both the beautiful seascape afforded in Fairfield and also the sense of history and committed citizens. So thank you so much for volunteering. I know it's sort of a thankless job. So thank you. You get a thank you for all the time you spend on this, because I realize it's a lot. So we got a little smarter. This time we invited Michelle Morgan, who's our designer, and I'm going to give you a little, just a little bit of her bio. But in general, overall, we really just want to increase the curb appeal of things that just needed to be replaced or repaired at the home. I know you're not on paint color, but we'll be, painting the house to be what I think will be more in line with how the neighborhood speaks to what should be there. We're spending a lot of time deep diving into the history of the home. We want to make it our home and make it beautiful, but we also do have a really good track record for our neighbors of doing things that have also improved the property value for the homes that we've sold in the past. And, the neighbors have had the benefit of, a great comp in the neighborhood. And we were very, very successful doing renovations on Fifth Avenue in New York City in New Canaan in our first home in the North District, and we won an Architectural Digest award for that. And most recently, our 1960 farmhouse on Woodland Road in New Canaan has been featured in many, many media. And I don't know if I explained that I've actually been a contributor to the New York Times for since 2013. I photographed over 100 articles. It's actually the first time I came to Fairfield Beach was covering the neighborhood after Hurricane Sandy. And I'm really trying to bring my lens, literally my lens, both for work and for loving historic homes and homes with soul into this property. So as part of that, I work with, oh golly, so lucky, like maybe 80 or 90 different interior designers just here in the region. And it seemed to me that Michelle Morgan Harrison, who's here with me, she's a native of New Orleans, of course, the town with so much soul and history, beauty and gardens. And she has restored an 1885 farmhouse in New Canaan and won the New Canaan Historical Preservation Society Award for that. She's also working right now on an 1816 colonial farmstead. That residence has already won the same historic preservation award. And she's also been quoted by the New York Times for her work on working on historical properties. So with no further ado, I think she's much better equipped than me last time I was sort of shooting from the hip of trying to explain what we were doing. But Michelle's going to be the one who's done a lot of research, most markedly on the French doors, which last time we had come up with. And it was suggested that we use a different kind of door. And Michelle had all sorts of reasons why she had suggested and supported that original decision. So do you want to go through the point by point, the presentation? Is that best? With a screen share?
Yes, please.
Okay. How do I do it, Michelle?
Well,
All right.
I don't know. Sorry.
Sorry, it's a little different than Zoom. All right, Adam, I had you do this last time. Do you mind prompting us, taking us through the
Oh, no,
application?
do you see it?
Okay.
Do you
Or
see
do you
it now?
see it? Are
No,
you seeing? Oh.
No? Okay, hold on.
you have to go, if you open it on your desktop and then go to share and then locate it through that.
Oh, do you see us now?
No.
Hello. Try it. They're out both.
So we might. Yeah, you're going to get the reverb.
So we cut us off on the other one. Can you see the?
Like you just created a clone of yourself.
Yeah.
Adam, do you have it up?
I can put it up if you want.
I would so appreciate it. Let me get this.
Are you gonna?
Can you see it?
Okay.
We're still.
Reverb. We gotta get rid of.
Can you see it on your screens?
Okay. Can you hear us once
Yes.
now and not twice? Much better. Okay. So if you could just, so what we put together for you guys is to see, I think it helps to put into context the scale of what the existing windows are. So we quickly just put together showing you that the existing house is done as a 12/12 and measured the glass size so you guys could see that it's approximately 6.5 by 7.75, so roughly close to squares. The front of the house and the main part of the house is consistent. There are a few that were done in the addition in the rear of the existing windows that are slightly different scale, particularly the one in the mudroom, but otherwise the house is consistently a close to a square in all of the windows. So that's the one that's kind of the slightly off. It was a 1990 edition apparently, but the rest of the windows are very close to being square. Now, the original, if you go to the next page, the original edition that was when it was done of the picture window was also a square, large scale size. So when we went in to design what the door should be, we definitely went with as close to square as possible. So what we did is obviously centered the door in the space. And if you go to the next slide, you can see that the glass size is very consistent with the previous. So whereas the previous was, the picture window was 13 by 13, these doors are getting us very close at 2.5 by 2.25. So
12 and a half.
at 12.5 inches by 12.25 inches, correct. So it's proportionately, I think, very in keeping with what was there, and this house and you know, I have a 12 over 12 myself in New Canaan, and I did the exact same door in fact. So it is wood, not clad, even though and it has got a wood sill as well, which is also historic. So that's very important in my opinion, and that is also what was what they would like to install. So, you know, I believe you also were questioning the tread size. So if you scroll down just a little bit on the same, or actually it's right there. It says we did the tread, the width of the overall door opening, not necessarily the French door itself, but in front of all 4 panels, and did the tread at 18 inches by the 12.8. So it's actually a very nice feature to the house. It lets a ton of light into the rear of the addition, the kitchen dining addition, and it's a graceful choice as opposed to like, you know, kind of Home Depot-esque, if that by any means. Do you know what I mean? And it's a great quality historical style in being the wood and the wood sill, etc. So I did do a mock-up of what the door would be based on the suggestion, which is, didn't I? Or did I take that out? Oh, I did. Oh, I'm sorry. I took that out. I did draw it as the suggested other size, and it just didn't look right. By the way.
It looked really, really cluttered and jumbled and too
very elongated.
Very elongated.
And I think the importance is sticking with the square.
And also the other thing that came up was that you said having smaller windows was more in keeping with the house. But these windows are actually smaller than what just came out. So they're not only not larger than what was there pre-existing, but they're also
I think what matters is the scale. And I think that the picture window, although it was nice, the door itself next to it was not a great choice for it, but anyway, it's fine. So so do you have any questions about the door? Can I move on to the rear porch, or?
Yeah, present the whole application.
Okay, sure.
Ask questions.
So if you go to the next page. Okay, so the rear porch does not have an overhang. The rear door, it's essentially the addition of the mudroom that was done. So what we're proposing is an extension of the existing shed roof line to go over the window that is to the left of the door entry. So if you go to the next image, so you'll see that it's just extending the existing roof line over with a single square post and raising the stone tread to be a porch stone floor. Existing right now, this concrete slab that's there is not appropriately done, and it's the water is very porous and coming up and seeping with seepage, causing it to be a hazard. So that has to be addressed regardless. So while doing it, it makes perfect sense to address the needs of having a covered porch
For packages.
for
We
packages,
didn't want to touch the front.
dry cleaning, dogs, etc. It becomes a real service porch in that regard. Now, in keeping with the door, the next page shows you changing the door lights to be consistent with the French door, also consistent with the 12/12 squares. It has more of a service feel with the solid panel on the lower base of the door. Again, something that I did to my own home here in New Canaan. That's the 1816, and it lets light into a very small space, but still is in keeping with the squares and the 12/12 feeling. Next, if you want this, I'm sorry, I go back for a moment. This does show you the footprint of the new pad. The dash line shows the previous existing slab, and this is essentially balancing to get past the window just enough with the post to have it be a more balanced and gracious rear entry. Okay, so next is discussion on the location of the generator. The site plan on the left shows you where the 10-foot line is to the edge, since it's the new air cool, which is fantastic that you can get it so much closer to a structure, is showing the 18 inches off the structure. The image on the right is showing you where the red box is under the window, which is essentially where the new generator is, and we're going to remove the existing storage bin that's there. It's unnecessary, if that makes sense. Okay, and then clearly they'll be adding some shrubbery, etc., to kind of obscure the appearance of the generator. On the other aspect, which is the next slide, it's showing the HVAC, and that is the condensers are tucked in this little corner. The house was underpowered regarding HVAC and required another condenser. So adjacent in that corner is that location, clearly hidden again by all of the shrubbery. And then,
Can I ask you a question?
yes, sir.
Are these condensing units existing?
The one that one is existing, and the other one is the new one that was added. Correct. The one that where your
Okay.
mouse is on was the existing, and the one tucked behind the shrubbery is the new.
They're actually both new.
They're both
Yeah,
new,
they're
but the
both new,
one's an
but
existing location.
One is in the previous existing one's
Sorry.
location.
Mr. Bayless.
Okay.
And then next is,
It's just additional. on
it's
the
just
condenser.
additional on the condenser, and then the last
We have to
is
show them the sconces.
but I can't bring it up on this.
Yeah, we
So-
can just pull it up on here.
But did you email them that then?
No,
So how do I get that across to them?
oh, because we'll just put it on, not on screen share. We'll just hold it up. That's what I did last time.
Oh, okay. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Okay.
All right. So,
Lastly, there are two options for,
and this is my fault that it wasn't attached to this.
I
Michelle
wanted her
thought-
to, I wanted her to
Michelle
pick
was wanting
between
me to
them
put 'em on,
first
but-
and then send what she wanted. And
So this was left for last time that we could add a second sconce to the front door, but you just wanted to take a look at the two choices. Or the choices to make sure that they were historically accurate.
so this is, let me know if I can't see, if you can see me. Oh, there you go. I'm sorry. I apologize. Can you? So this is can you see that?
Yeah, that's good. I'm getting it in perfectly. Yeah. There we go.
Okay, so this is a Northeast Lantern company. The scale of the existing sconce that's there is 18 inches, and this is comparable, and the smaller one is the scale of what is on the garage door. That's one option, which I think you guys would prefer. I also have a second option, which I prefer, but you can just
Serving up a couple
but you
choices.
can decide. And these are
So it's not up to us to decide it. You have to come to us with, and if you don't have, I mean, it's not really part of the application at the moment. So
okay. Yeah. So we can we can
you
send
know
it.
what I mean?
So do I just? That's fine. I would. This would be my preference. So these sconces as well.
Well, I mean, you're going to have to choose what sconces you want to propose, and then you have to come back with another application. I can't,
Okay.
without
Okay.
having it part of your application, I can't. We can't really consider it.
Understood.
You know what I mean? Sorry.
Okay. All right. No problem.
Well, let me ask, just so sorry, we're still getting used to how everything works. Do you prefer us just to pick one, or is there a situation where?
He's saying pick.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good.
All right. No problem.
Yeah, we're not here to make to decide for you. You have to tell us what you want.
No problem.
And but I mean, I can tell you if you want to, any of those sconces seem like they would be appropriate.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
She spent a lot of time on that. That's
You-
not
you
bad that
decide.
they're not attached. That was a little miscommunication on my end. Sorry.
Well, we can put it back in with the fence.
Yeah.
As well.
And so, okay,
Okay.
so is that covers all of our points, and the fence we withdrew to get back to afterwards. We're still researching that and seeing everybody's needs and checking in with the neighbors and making sure we're all on the same page. So that concludes the front door with send the sconces for next time. Most important is that rear elevation. If based on Michelle's research and argument, if you can support the French doors so we can order them and get that going. And then, of course, the side elevation we reviewed and the generator and condenser. So we're ready for any questions or
Okay.
anything we can offer.
Thank you. Rosina,
you.
do you have any questions?
It's Art Burdanis. I don't mean to interrupt. I know I reached out to you about my timeline. It's been moved up, so I wanted to vote on this. I thought it would be a shorter one, but I thought everything looked good. So my request is that if I could go first and say I have no further questions, and secondly, if I have to leave right before 5, do you have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Thank you, Art.
I'll stay as long as I can. And again, I apologize.
Okay.
Anyways, I'll stay as long as I can, but I have no questions. I enjoyed the presentation. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Art. Sorry, Rosina, questions?
No, my only question reviewing the application was about the sconces that I had not seen any cut sheets or anything, so that's okay. The proportions of the French door window panes, they look okay. Maybe smaller ones will be preferred, but as they are, they don't seem to be too bad. So I don't have any other questions. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
George, questions?
On the, yes, thank you. It was a great presentation and it was light spirited. Question on the back, in that back elevation, you have the window next to the door. I can't see it. It's not, maybe Adam, if you could flip to it. You have the window next to the door, and then you have the window in the, but it would, it would be interesting if those two windows look the same, only because they kind of be, now that you
Well,
put the roof up.
You mean the window that's in the bump out that
Yep.
doesn't look like the rest? Well, that was an existing window that has been there.
Yeah.
It would be nice, yes, that if the previous owners had matched it with a 12/12. But I would assume it's not a necessity because you know, it is existing, but yes, I would agree. It would be nice that that would speak to the other window, because that's the only window in the entire house that's a little bit more rectangular. But they didn't put it in. So,
I understand. No, I'm fine. Thank you. Nice job.
thank you.
Thanks, George. Jim, questions?
Questions? Thank you very much.
No questions? So we said?
Yeah, he said no question.
Oh, thank you, Jim. So I just want to point out that you're showing a gutter
We are showing a
and
gutter.
a downspout.
Correct.
And there's nothing in your application that that states that you want to put a gutter and downspout in. So if you want to put a gutter and downspout, you're going to have to include that in another application. Just
You
so
guys
know.
love meeting us. I know it. This time next month, you're coming.
So we'll add the gutter.
Sconces, gutter.
The gutter
So
will match the
yeah.
other gutters on the house, and will be painted to match the house.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. It just needs to be included. It just needs
understood.
to be included in your
That
in the
that
application, so more
unfortunately
of a-
is that's not a gutter. That's the radon. But my
No, I
hope
know,
is
and
that
I
it
was
will
gonna
be
ask about
it
this
will be
radon.
nice. Yeah, it will be more obscured. I think with the roof line, it's gonna go. It's gonna kind of blend.
Is it going to stay there?
It
Is
unfortunately
it being touched at all?
No, here's we're actually hoping, that was my next question when you guys got done, is for next time, if we are looking to remove that radon, do we have to present that in a meeting as well?
How are you gonna get it?
Yes. Any change in appearance, if you want to move it, if you want to remove it, whatever.
Okay.
Just, I mean, it's a formality, but it needs to be included in your application. So we
No,
have
that's
it on
fine.
record.
And so then I have another question, since I would have thought that you guys would have wanted a radon out if we can get it out. But anyway, I don't mind putting it on another application. On the front left-hand part of my property, on the corner of South Benson and Old Post Road, in the old tree in the corner is a electric utility. It looks like it used to anchor a pole. And I'll send it in our next application. And do we need to get permission to cut the actual thing that they left sticking out of the tree to you guys? I'm actually just curious.
I'm not sure, because I'm not really sure what you're talking about, but if you send me a picture of it,
I'll
I
just
can give you
include it
that
in-
Is it on
answer.
our property or on
Yeah,
the town property?
It's inside of our fence, but it used to hold an electric pole, and it looks like they must have changed poles over the years, but they never cut away the electric, the steel, the non-stainless steel metal that's sticking out of our tree in the corner. And I was gonna just cut the metal part out, but I guess I have to bring that to you guys as well.
I'm adding that as
Yes.
electric
I'm
pole
sorry.
shrapnel
Sorry,
item.
I don't think Paul, I'm assuming that's Paul who's.
Paul,
speaking. I
yeah,
just
Paul
need to
came
have
from
you-
the dentist, sorry.
I'm just curious, sorry.
I know, but I just need you to state your name for the record, just so we know who's.
It's Paul Bayless, husband of
Thank you.
Jane and friend of Michelle's.
All right. Thank you. So that's all the questions for now. I do have a letter. I received a letter opposing your application, which I'll read into the record. Dear Chairman Cliver and HGZ Commissioners, I'm writing to respectfully request that you deny the proposal for Jane Bayless before you today. I believe that her application for certificate of appropriateness lacks sufficient information as to design and use of materials for the commission to make a decision as to whether this project is historically appropriate under HGC's design guidelines delineated in our Fairfield Historic Districts and Properties Handbook. Based on the elements listed in this proposal, my concerns are as follows. Number one, front door, new sconces to flank the front door. Concern is that there are no specific location depicted, nor is there any photograph as to what these new sconces will look like. Number two, rear elevation, new doors to the exterior and landing. The proposal depicts an enlargement of the entire back mudroom, and there is currently only one existing door. When the mudroom is expanded, will the back window to the right be removed from the back of the house? It appears that the new mudroom will have an identical window and cover to the window as it exists on the house. Additionally, a gutter and leader is shown on the enlarged mudroom, whereas the current structure has none. Regarding the new doors, the single existing door is currently a solid wood panel door. The new door in the drawing is about 2/3 glass with no notation as to what type of material it will be made of. Also, there is no mention of where another door may be located or what it will look like. Number 3, side elevation. A new door and roof overhang is proposed on the drawings. The new door is actually a set of French doors and 2 identically sized flanking windows that are much larger than the existing dining room window and solid panel door, side door, which have already been removed. As shown, the windows and door will consist of glass from the bottom sill of the house to the height just under the overhang. Is this appropriate? More research needs to be conducted as to whether this type of design is actually accurate for a salt box survival. This home was built in 1940s and is a design that evolved from the post-medieval English in the northern style. Furthermore, the existing side door opens with a step down to the existing flagstone patio. Will this patio be rebuilt? And if so, where is the plan and identification materials for that? Number 4, generator and condensing locations. The plan identifies a location for a generator near the garage, but there's nothing to identify the type of screening that will be necessary to keep it from being visible from a public way. The plan also identifies a location for 2 air conditioning condensers, which appears to be where one condenser is already located and screened by evergreens. Will the location of the new condensers be in the same place, and will they also be screened from the public way by the existing evergreens? Number 5 is the fence, which she's asked to remove because you have taken that out of the application. For the above reasons, I request that the commission carefully consider the ramifications of the proposal if approved and presented. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely yours, Ann Jones, 4 Post Road, Fairfield. I don't know if you have any response to the letter.
Definitely. I think that the sconce thing, that's our error that wasn't included, and Michelle will reply to everything else.
Okay. So first, regarding the front door, yes, the location will be identical to the existing and it will just be balanced. I can put together a mock-up of that and include the image selected, not a problem.
And just FYI on that, at the last meeting, that was told, we went over all of that with the schematic, and we're just told that at this meeting to include the tear sheet, which apologetically I did not do.
Okay. No, that's fine. So the enlargement of the mudroom, I think whoever is commenting isn't quite clear on
It's not being
it's not being enlarged. It is an extension of the roof line for porch purposes only. There's not additional square footage. There's not an additional door. There's not an additional window. The door is just changing from being a solid door to a glass door that is in keeping with the design of the French style door. Now, regarding the French style door and the historic aspect of that, I can actually attest personally to my salt box colonial that is 1816 that I had identical doors to that in my screen porch that were done. And if they weren't done originally, they were done in the 1920s when it was done by the architect that did New Canaan's town hall, etc. So the not town hall, the anyway, it doesn't matter. So I do know in historic homes the French doors were prevalent. They typically would have the Cremol bolts that were in the interior. I do not feel that it is, and based on it being a mahogany sill and wood door, that it is not in keeping with the home. And I feel very strongly about that. And I feel that that it, was done. Sometimes they did have lower panels, and sometimes they were only like 10 or 12 inches up from the base, as opposed to a more of a 3/4 or 2/3. But that the glass doors were done just like in anyway. So regarding the gutter, yes. we can give you specs and specifications on what that gutter is in the next application. But the patio itself is part of a larger landscaping plan that needs to be done. But I believe that we were only addressing the no changes to the existing patio, just to the actual stoop itself, which was noted. So I don't
There is no plan. At this
yeah,
point for anything else
and
beyond it.
regarding the generator, yes, there will be. No one would want to look at that and be surprised. So yes, there will be evergreen shrubbery that will enclose that. Happy to note that, but you know, I'm not a landscape designer, so but but yes, that would be addressed. I truly have, you know, I was a little perplexed by the comments about the mudroom because I just truly don't think they understood. But other than that, and the materials being wood, I think speak to that. So I don't really know what else to say about that other than it just seems yeah. I as someone who has worked with a lot of historic homes, I understand when people are pushing things and when they are not, and I truly don't see any issues or like problems with what's being proposed, because and I understand when people are pushing it a little bit too much or not, but I truly do believe that this design is very in keeping with the house, and also with the understanding that, you know, houses need to work for people as well, and porches, you know,
You need a dry place to put packages.
porches are done in, you know, in the old times as well as new, and they're a nice necessity. And on the back of the house, it's very common to be done in a shed style like that. Did I address it all? I apologize if I did not.
Okay. One other, I think, comment I should, you know, you don't have do you have a window manufacturer, door manufacturer?
It's Marvin.
Have you chosen one?
It's Marvin. It's the Marvin.
Marvin.
Yes.
Okay, so some of the things, you know, if we approve this, we'll stipulate that these doors need to be all wood because
Correct.
it's not really called out anywhere.
All wood with the mahogany cell.
Are there any lights? Are there any lights proposed for any lighting for where the French doors are going?
Not at the moment.
If so, you need to
Yes.
If so, you need to include it either in a later application or in the next application, whatever. But
we can include
it
that
needs
with the
to
front
be-
responses, and we should. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
and in terms of the
The
back
rear
door
sconce would stay where it
is
is in this existing
is
location.
existing, okay.
Yeah.
And of course, for the generator, we would stipulate evergreen plantings in perpetuity,
Correct.
as in addition to all these need to be screened.
Correct. Yeah.
I know you want to, but I mean, we're going to include
Understood.
it in whatever approvals that you might get, just so that it's on the record.
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't receive any other letters of approval or in favor of your application. So the hearing's closed. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Oh, Adam, one quick thing. Because the back
Yes.
elevation was a continuation, the spec sheets were included in the original package from last month's meeting with the door, you know, specs, materials, the tear sheet from Marvin.
Okay. It would be considered a separate application, but
Okay,
it's noted.
got it.
And we're gonna. I think if it gets approved, it'll be approved with stipulations. So
Okay.
it will be addressed. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You have a good evening.
Thank you.
Me too. Okay, so moving on, we'll consider item 1. Jane Bayless, 360 Old Post Road for property located at 360 Old Post Road for new front door, new sconces to flank front door. B, rear elevation, new doors to exterior and landing. C, side elevation, new door and proposed roof overhang. And D, new generator and condenser units. Can I get a motion? And both alternates are voting. So George and Jim, you're both voting on this application.
Thank you.
Well, I guess for conversation purposes, I'd make a motion that we accept it as presented with the stipulations about planting out the generator, the fact that no lights have been no lighting or sconces have been approved, and that the wood door is that the doorway is 100% wood, no other materials.
I'll second that, George, with those three stipulations.
Okay, discussion.
I don't think we can approve A at all because no cut sheets
No,
were
we can't.
provided.
Right.
In terms of the generator number D, I agree that the stipulation of the evergreen screening should be added. In terms of the doors, just looking back and forth at the proportion of the panes, it kind of feels that they do need to be smaller, not the 12 by 12, but something smaller. And yes, square, but that's just my opinion. So.
I mean, I think they showed the existing window being 12 by 12, which was good to see because it does put it in a different perspective. I think without that information, I would have wanted to see tighter, smaller lights that match the existing house. But considering that the existing window was 12 by 12s.
That's the one in the garage, right?
No, the existing bay window that they took out, where they're
Okay.
putting in the new that existing window had 12 big, large 12 by 12 panes. And if it wasn't for that, I think I'd be more inclined to want smaller lights that match the existing house. But because the previous window that they took out was 12 by 12, had 12 by 12 lights, I think it makes it more appropriate, if you will, to do what they're doing. I wish they were square and not just off by a little bit. They're a little bit wider, but it's really not a lot.
When you made them smaller, you'd have to do 3 windows on each, right? So they would end up being, in 24, they'd be 8 inches instead of 12 inches. Regina, to your point.
Well, the other thing is they're also, the doors are like 2'10". You know what I mean? They're big doors.
Mm-hmm.
It's not normal. These could be 2 8 doors, and which is a big door too.
Yep. Yeah. So they're 34 inches. You put, if you did 8-inch windows, they'd be three across, or right?
No, I think you could do 2. I think you could do 2 across, but if the panels were smaller, 2 8 panels.
But you're dealing with the opening, right? So you probably want to deal with the same.
No, I think they're changing. It's a new opening.
Okay. Yeah.
right? It's totally different. And they're reframing this whole thing anyway.
If you wanted to keep the windows the size that they want, then you just go to 8-inch windows
Then-
instead of 12-inch windows. And you'd have 3 across, 3 in each. So you'd have 3 in each bay. 3, 6, 9, 12 across. Right?
I'm not sure. You mean 3 in each panel?
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have 3 windows.
Yeah, yeah, but then it will be much thinner. You know what I mean? It wouldn't come close to match. These are 12 by 12. They're saying, or 13 by 13.
Yeah.
These are actually smaller, 12 and a half by 12. You know, it's just that they're a 1/4 inch shorter than they are wide. But I mean, this is my thought is that you look at what was there and what they're proposing, you know, it's not that far off in terms of proportion of windows and the amount of light that's there or amount of glass.
You look at the windows that are existing in the house, and they are smaller, and they provide
12
for, yeah.
Well, I mean, this is why we denied it last time. It's because of the size of these lights.
Yeah.
So if you think it's not inappropriate for, you know, because it should match the existing house, and you think it's inappropriate. I personally don't think it's hard to say it's inappropriate considering what's there now. You know what I mean?
I think smaller windows would look better, personally. I kind of agree with Rajiv.
Was that
Okay.
addition of the window, the approval of HDC at any point? Do we know that? Because that's
question?
not original to the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it must have gotten HGC approval at some point.
Maybe.
If it's not original, it's hard to. I have no idea.
And kind of like,
Yeah, I'm sure this area was
Proportion-wise-
probably added on at some point.
yeah. And proportion-wise is one thing, but also I understand that they provided the Marvin information the last time.
Yep.
There was no information provided for the materials of these doors
But
in this
I
one
don't have a problem.
application.
I mean, they said it's wood, and I think if we stipulate that they're wood, I think that would cover that aspect. You know, I don't think I wouldn't get too caught up on that. It's more, I think, what they're proposing is what we need to vote on, because we can stipulate the wood. I think that's easy enough.
Yeah, I feel that the panes of the glass are in proportion to the existing windows of the house. I understand what you're saying about in proportion to the window that they removed, but if we were not looking at that window that was removed and we were comparing it to all the other fenestration in the house, smaller panes will be more in kind.
And to be honest with you, when the old window's gone, you're only comparing it to you're not comparing it to anything. It's not like it's living next to it, or you know, it's freestanding. So you have to accept it for what it's going to be in isolation, not referencing to something else. So I think I'd like the idea to see. I would rather see the window pane smaller. I think I would do 3 across and 5 down, and make it a little bit less plate if I have my choice.
And, and keep the same 12 by 12 and a quarter?
Well, no, they have the 12 and a quarter have to come down. It would have to be smaller. You can't get. You can't if you're gonna put more windows in, more panes in, they're gonna be smaller. Or, I don't know how else to, unless you make the panes smaller and have more wood. But I don't think you'd want to do that either. So I'd rather see the glass door. So I'd modify the motion to suggest that we'd like that the windows are not part of the approval. We'd approve the generator. We'd approve the roof and the addition, and we'd approve the condenser.
George, you can, I mean, if you go through each, letter items, if you want to,
Yeah, I don't have them in front of me.
amend your motion, we have A is the front door, B is the rear elevation, C is the side elevation, and D is the generator and condensing units.
Okay, so you got me at a disadvantage because I don't have your agenda in front, the detailed agenda. I have the summary agenda that you sent out. So if Regina, do you have the agenda? Can you do that?
I do.
Hang on.
Thank you.
Do we?
Yeah, you've got it.
Can
Okay. Adam's got it up to date. So
Okay,
we're making a motion to accept the front door as proposed, with the exception of the sconces that were not provided and the locations not mentioned.
No, George, the front
Yeah.
door is just for the sconces.
Okay, well then the sconces are not approved because they're not here, and there are no location for them. So A is not going to be approved. The rear elevation, doors and existing landing, that we're not going to approve. We're approving the
So
side
not A and B
elevation,
without prejudice.
right, without prejudice, and C and D would be approved. Sorry, excuse me, Adam.
Okay. Do we have Jim? Do you second that?
Yes, so you're just deleting the rear elevation.
I'm sorry. So I'm clear. C and D. The motion is for C and D to be approved without prejudice, right?
Approved as presented.
As presented. Sorry, Adam.
And then A with the front door with the stipulation of wood. So we're
No,
not
A and B
approved.
the motion is A and B, deny A and B without prejudice,
Right.
approve C and D as presented. That's the motion.
Yes. Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
Mhm. Do you second
What
that?
about,
Jim?
isn't A?
This is a
with the
yes or no question. Jim, do you second that or do you not second that?
Second approving just C and D?
Correct.
And denying A and B without prejudice.
Okay. Yes, I'll second that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Discussion?
Comment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Regina?
We can have discussion.
If we are denying without prejudice B, which is new doors to exterior, why are we approving the new doors to the little roof overhang that has the same proportions? Wouldn't we like to see the proportions of both of those doors to be equal?
Yeah, I think your point is well made, Regina.
So wouldn't it make more sense if if we can deny A, deny B, deny the door for C, but approve the roof overhang, and approve D with the stipulation of the evergreen plantings to be maintained in perpetuity.
I'd accept that amendment.
You second?
And I'll second that.
Okay.
We got there.
We ready to vote on this?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor? All opposed? None opposed? No abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Okay. Next is the approval of the minutes for 12/8 summer meeting. I think we were all here. I know, George, you had some revisions you wanted to make. I thought it was, they didn't show up on the in these minutes, the draft minutes, but perhaps we can address them right now.
She said, I think the minutes say the third floor, and you mean the third door, so it's a typo, or it's a mistake. But we never agreed
And we're,
for a third floor.
these are the December minutes?
No. Okay, I've got to pull it up.
Part of the business.
George, I think the third floor versus third door was in the November minutes.
Okay, yes, it could have been the November minutes.
Which were already approved. Okay.
Were they? I thought they had not been approved.
Yeah, they were approved at the last meeting. Let me see.
Pull it back.
They were on the agenda to be approved, and I'm pretty sure they were approved. What are the minutes saying to be approved? Yes, they were approved at the December meeting.
Well, it's a mistake. Approved or not.
All right.
And I mean, because we would, we certainly don't want to ever suggest that we, as a board, approve 3 stories. I don't think. When you're talking about this, the building.
No. Okay.
That's my point.
Gotcha. We'll see if we can make those changes. And then I guess we'll have to reapprove those minutes
Yeah, I think so.
at the next meeting. Okay.
I'm sorry about that, Adam, but it's, I just wouldn't want,
Okay.
because since it's attributed to me, I don't want to be linked to what is already a little bit volatile to start with. We don't need to add oil.
Right. Okay. Chairman's reports. We have 2 repairs, 432 Old Post Road, repair and rebuild 2 chimneys in kind. 457 Harbor Road, replace existing fence in kind. I had no violations this month. Handbook is ongoing. If there's any new business, I don't have any new business. Anyone else?
Not here.
All right. Well, that's all I have. Just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Rosina makes a motion to adjourn. George, you can second it.
Okay, I'm there. With you, Regina.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you all.